Before anyone ever cracked a vault, we had to invent something far more dangerous than crime. A reason to commit one. We didn't create robbery. We built a world that made it possible. Before you can rob a bank, you need a reason not to, or at least a consequence. Because a robbery isn't just an act, it's an act against something. A law, a code, a system, a society. And without that system, there's no such thing as a crime, only survival. So this is how robbery became real, not just as a deed, but as a violation of civilization itself. Long before nations, courts, or even written laws, theft wasn't theft. It was life. If you were hungry, you took. If someone had more, you challenged. If you lost, well, it was over. Ownership wasn't moral. It was physical, tribal, relational. But then cities grew, currency spread, temples became banks, and for the first time, we needed something else. Order. And with it, consequences. One of the oldest legal codes ever discovered? Code of Hammurabi, 1754 BCE, Babylon. Not just a list of rules, a statement of transformation. It laid out crimes, categories, punishments. To rob a temple? That was to rob the gods. The punishment? Exile or death. Even then, robbery wasn't just a violation. It was a sacred betrayal. The harshness wasn't just for deterrents. It was symbolic. A way to define property as something almost divine. By ancient Rome, law had evolved. So had crime. The cohorts urbani kept order. The vigils watched the streets, the fires, the shadows. The first beat-cops, the first systemized patrols. But Rome's most radical idea? Crime on paper. The Lex Julia Divi Publica under the Augustus made distinctions. Furtum, theft, quiet and cunning. Rapina, robbery, violent and direct. Rome didn't just punish the act, it classified how the act was done and who it harmed. Theft was personal, robbery, public. In medieval Europe, justice fragmented. Each lord had his own laws, each region its own punishments. One town fined you, another branded you, a third hung you from a gate. There was no map for law, only borders. This chaos sparked fear. Merchants couldn't travel safely. Villages feared raiders more than armies. No one knew what protection really meant. So the people asked, who will protect us? And slowly, the answer emerged. The state. Fast forward now to 1829, London. Industrial Revolution. Urban boom, urban crime. Sir Robert Peel launches the Metropolitan Police. They wear uniforms, walk beats, report to a public commissioner. They aren't soldiers, and they aren't mercenaries. They are citizen guards. Peel's principles still quoted today. Police exist to prevent crime. Power comes from public approval, and force is the last resort. And now, for the first time, robbery wasn't just a sin. It wasn't just local. It was a national breach, a public act. A crime not just against a person, but against order itself. As policing evolved, so did investigations. The case file, the detective, the fingerprint, the mugshot, the motive. Crime became a narrative. It could be reconstructed, understood, solved. In the US, the Pinkertons arrived in the 1850s, the FBI in 1908. Robbers now faced national agents, surveillance, forensics, files that followed them across borders. And as law enforcement got smarter, criminals evolved. Thus was born the mastermind, the planner, the ghost, the man you couldn't catch. Then came a twist. The more we tried to stop robbery, the more we defined it. New legal labels emerged: petty theft, grand larceny, burglary, embezzlement, armed robbery, bank robbery. Each label brought different punishments, different reputations, and different myths. Bank robbery rose to the top. Why? Because it wasn't random, it wasn't desperate. It was a crime of precision, design, and defiance. And as laws grew stricter, tactics grew smarter. An eternal loop began. Law builds rules, crime tests them. Today, bank robbery isn't about what was taken. It's about how, from where, and why. Modern law defines robbery as the unlawful taking of property from a person or place through force or threat of force. And that force doesn't have to be used, only implied. The intent? Premeditated, deliberate, symbolic. Robbery isn't about money, it's about challenging the system that protects it, which means robbery is defined by the very rules it breaks. So, what had to exist before bank robbery was possible? A legal system, a definition of property, a force to guard it, and a story to enforce it. Because robbery isn't just a crime, it's a statement that someone chose to cross a line that society agreed no one should cross. And that line, it wasn't drawn with vaults, it wasn't drawn with weapons. It was drawn with law. Now that value was protected, the next invention wasn't designed to save it. It was designed to steal it. The vault, the disguise, the blueprint, the getaway. Welcome to the age of criminal innovation.